This is a 2005 Toyota Highlander with the V-6 3.3 engine. It's here because the battery light is on and obviously the battery keeps going dead. Naturally, I suspect the alternator. There's a couple real fast, easy ways to diagnose whether or not the alternator is even charging. Scan tools, even some of the code readers, have a built-in feature that you can actually test the charging system. I don't like to do that because on my particular scan tool you have to run the engine for about 30 or 40 seconds at about 2,000 RPM. I don't want to make it hot because my hands are going to be in there. Power Probe 3. I absolutely love this thing. Hook it up to the battery, press up on it to apply power through the tip without touching anything. 12.1 volts. I know you probably can't read that, but it's coming back at 12.1 volts. Now I'm going to start the car up, and I'm going to do it again. If it's charging, it should be in the neighborhood of 13.5 to 14.5 volts. .9 volts. I don't know if you probably can't read that, but 11.9 volts. So we know that the alternator is not charging. The battery voltage drops when the car is running because everything is running off the battery now. So let's go ahead and change that alternator. Okay, the battery's unhooked. The next thing I'm going to do is unhook that battery cable from the alternator. That's a 10mm nut. And then on the other side of this hose, let me see if I can get you in over here. Right here is the wiring connector. I'm going to pull those two off, and then we'll work on getting the belt tensioner loose and getting some slack on that belt. Okay, I got the wiring connector unhooked, and if you can see where I'm shining, that nut right there is the tension nut on the tensioner. This doesn't have a spring-loaded tensioner. Okay, that bolt right there runs the belt, or runs the alternator back and forth to tighten or loosen the belt. So I loosened that nut already. I couldn't get a good camera angle on it, or I would have showed you. It's a real bugger to get to. It's 12mm. The other mounting nut on the alternator, right here, also 12mm. I'm sorry, 14mm. 14mm, and that one's 12mm. And the stud on the top is 10mm. What's interesting, everything on this car is odd numbers. It's well, I guess not odd numbers, but odd to us guys and gals that work on cars regularly. Up until someone worked on this car before, there wasn't a 13mm tool involved in this job, which is a very common tool for GM, Ford, Dodge vehicles. Everything on here is 12, 14, and 17, but on the alternator it's just 12 and 14, and then if you can see that bolt right there, the head of it is now 13. Someone's replaced that bolt. That's not the factory Toyota bolt. I imagine what happened is the tensioner seized up and it probably broke. I've done it myself on these in the past. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen that up, and we'll get the belt off, and then I'll take this bolt out right here, and we should be able to get this alternator up out of there. I've learned that the easiest way to get that out is with a swivel socket on a long extension. Alright, it's loose. The alternator's not moving. I'm going to loosen the pivot bolt, and then the alternator should move. We should be able to get that belt off there. The alternator is moving. I know you can't see this. I can't get my camera down in here right now. Okay. Loosen it more. Okay, the belt is off, so I'm going to pull the pivot bolt out, and it looks like pull the pivot bolt out, and I'll pull this lower bolt out, and I should be able to get the alternator up out of here. There's only 2 bolts that secure it into place, so it's just that bottom one. If you got big hands, it's hard to get down in there and get at it. Okay, I got the lower bolt out. I'm gonna pull that pivot bolt out and get this thing out of here. I can't get an air tool down in here. There's not enough space. And the bolt is just tight enough that I can't back it out with my fingers. Boring. Alright, I'm stopping. Okay, I got the bolt out, finally. Well, I got both bolts out. There's just enough room, it looks like, maybe, to get this bolt out. It's hitting the AC lines. There, if you flex that one AC line up a little bit, you'll be able to get that bolt out of there. Alright, let's see if this alternator come out of here. There it is. Look at that, it's been replaced before. Aftermarket alternator. How about that? Nothing to it, piece of cake. Except all my wrenches kept falling down here into no man's land. They never hit the floor. Maybe. Okay. Well, obviously the installation is going to be reverse of the removal, so that's pretty much self-explanatory at this point. If this video helped you out in any way, shape, or form, or if you just liked it, give me a thumbs up. I appreciate you watching. Thank you. Okay, the new alternator comes with a pretty convenient tag on it. Let's see if I can get that to focus here. It says the output at 6,000 RPM is 133.8, and the output at 2,000 RPMs is 100 amps. It says the voltage set point is 14.255 volts. So let's go throw this new alternator in and verify its correct operation. Okay. Get that top bolt started, and just before I tighten it up, I'll get that bottom bolt. The bottom bolt actually threads right into the tensioner. It's part of the tensioner on this. Okay, that started. Let's see if we can get this. I know you can't see this. There's no way I could get my camera down here to film this. Half of it I'm doing by feel. It's so tight down in here. There's the hole. Alright, I believe I have that started. Boy, that isn't easy. Okay, I've got the alternator in place. I've got both the bolts in it, and I got the tensioner put together. I have the belt sitting on there, as you can see. Maybe you can see. The belt's loose. So I'm going to tighten up the belt and hook up the battery terminal and plug it in, and we're going to hook the battery. Well, I'm going to hook the battery cable up, then I'll hook up the battery terminal. We'll plug in the alternator, we'll start the car and see what happens. Wish I had a smaller tripod so I could set the camera up on the engine here so you guys could see what I'm doing. I've got the belt tightened up here. I've got the battery cable connected to the alternator. I'm going to plug in this electrical connector. Put the rubber boot back over it. Pull back a little bit. Maybe. Okay. Now let's hook the done. The battery's hooked up, the alternator's on, the belt's tight, we're good to go. You hook the power probe back up to the car, to the battery, and we're, I don't know if you can read that, we're about 12.5 volts, 12.2 volts, 12.2 volts. Okay, let's start it up. We should be significantly higher than 12.2 volts with the engine running. Okay, we're 13.7. A job well done. Not too bad, kind of tough if you got big hands. It's really easy though. There's only two bolts holding the alternator on, and then the wire connector, and then the cable from the battery. If this video was at all informative to anyone, please give me a thumbs up. I appreciate the likes. Thank you for watching. Take care now.